Lesson 2.4 is going to talk about length. So you should watch the video before about why a meter is a meter and take your notes there. The SI unit of length is the meter, which is represented by the small letter M right here. When we talk about length and meters, we need to start talking about uncertainties. So when we measure length, you're going to measure it with some sort of scale. You're going to use a tape measure, you might use a ruler. If it's really small, you could use like a protractor or something small, but you're going to be using a scale when we measure length. And with a scale, you have uncertainty. So uncertainty defines the resolution of your scale. And we're going to be using this when we use either a ruler for length, when we measure temperature with a thermometer, or a graduated cylinder. And what uncertainty is, it says that you only precisely know the number of digits of a measurement to the smallest division of your instrument. So if you have a ruler with lots of marks on it, you can tell what your length is pretty precisely. However, if you have a ruler that only has 2 marks on it, you cannot tell with as much certainty what your length is. So the uncertainty is a way to define that mathematically. So what we do is, for uncertainty, we take them with the smallest division of your scale and divide it by half. Okay, so we take the smallest division of our scale that we are using and divide it by half to find the uncertainty. And it'll have the same units as your measurement. So here's an example of a ruler on the bottom. You can see here we're measuring this green line. Right here, you can see the length they're in centimeters. All right, so this is 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters. Now we know more precisely, we know that our length right here is going to be somewhere between 2 and 3 centimeters. And if we count, there's going to be 10 marks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 marks between 2 and 3. So we know to every 0.1 centimeters. That's the smallest mark on our ruler. Therefore, the uncertainty right here, if we look at it, is going to be our smallest mark, which is 0.1 centimeters divided by 2. So that is equal, you can plug this into your calculator or do it in your head, 0.05 centimeters would be our uncertainty for this scale. So let's go ahead and practice this. So let's practice some length measurements, including our uncertainty. So you can see the ruler at the top has lots of. All right, so let's practice some length measurements. So the ruler at the top, you can see it's similar to the one on the previous slide. It has marks every centimeter from 0 to 10, and it has 10 marks in between. So that means that the smallest mark, so the smallest mark is going to be equal to, here, it's a little messy, 0.1 centimeters. Okay, so once again, you can take half of that, so just divide it by 2 either in your head or with a calculator, and we know our uncertainty is going to be 0.05 centimeters. So we already know what that's going to be. Now let's go ahead and actually look at the measurement here. So we start at 0, right? You want to make sure that the one end of your object is at 0. The other end is at in between 4 and 5. It's going to be, each one of these is 0.1, so it's going to be 4.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm going to guess it's 4.7. Now, since we have marks every 0.1, you can estimate one more digit. So we use our eyes to estimate. Do we think it's right at the line or maybe somewhere in between? I'm going to say that it's kind of in between. So I'm going to say that it's at 4.75, okay? With our uncertainty point 0.05 centimeters. So we're saying that we don't really know this last digit. We estimated it. All right, so let's look at another example. On the bottom here, we're measuring a Tootsie Roll. Now you can see that the scale here is different. We still have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, up to 10 centimeters, but we don't know any marks in between, right? So we can see that it's right at about maybe a tiny bit over 3. So our measurement is going to be 3. And then once again, we get to guess one more digit. Looking in between 3 and 4 here. Do we think it's right at the line or do we think it's slightly over? I'm going to say that it's just slightly over, that it's like 3.1. Now our uncertainty is going to be different. So the smallest division here is 1 centimeter, right? So our uncertainty is going to be half of that. So it's going to just be 1 divided by 2, or 0.5 centimeters. So since we don't have as many marks on our bottom ruler here, we don't know our measurement quite as precisely, and our uncertainty is going to be larger. That's saying that we're less certain about what our measurement is. All right, we're going to practice this a lot in class.